नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम हरि ओम Yes, namaste. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen last? Anything, anything that we saw, so we can form the link and move ahead. Yes, please. Yeah, Renuji, certainly.
Dr. Swarup.
Yeah, sure.
Slide 13.
Yes.
About the field and the mover of Kshetra and Kshetragya. So continuing with the sloka number 12. Arjun, I'll reveal the Brahma Vidya, which is the golden truth. You will
Just
gain.
one moment, Renuji. Maybe you can even summarize it instead of all the points. Just a summary, what you can grasp
Yes.
from.
Yes, the summary is that the supreme consciousness is all pervading. It is pervading in each and everything. It is present everywhere. It is immortal, indivisible, and you can find that wisdom and intellect of that supreme, the presence of that supreme, you can feel it within your heart. It's said by Lord.
See.
And at the end, we ended with shloka number 25. And yes, in between, we got to know about Purusha and Prakriti, the role of Purusha and Prakriti. How the Prakriti plays its role, or the presence of Prakriti is felt in all our senses also. And we ended with shloka number 25, saying that if one abides by what a guru says, then also we can attain that moksha, that level of.
All right, Renuji. Yes, thank you very much for the wonderful summary. Indeed, the Purusha and Prakriti, that duality is there. When you realize this duality, Krishna says, you become mukta, you become free. You become free from anxiety, free from panic, free from worrying. Suddenly, it is like you become conscious. Conscious of what? Of that consciousness which is at play. The consciousness that is at play in the universe. We say this universe is an intelligent design, isn't it? So who is that creator of the intelligent design? If you recognize the intelligence, then you become free also. Yes, there is a force. There is behind all these, rise and falls, everything that is happening around. There is a conscious movement. Even you look at it, the world also, we are progressing, we are evolving. Some will say we are degenerating, but it's not the case. We are actually evolving. Slowly, we are coming together. We do not realize that exactly how it's happening. But slowly, step by step, there's a forward movement. So this Purusha and Prakriti, this game is going on. Some people again make a Dvanda or Dvaita. Purusha is separate, Prakriti is separate, Purusha is like this. Krishna says Prakriti is also immortal, the immortal part of the consciousness of the Purusha only. But if we want to, for our understanding, we want to look at two different facets of that Supreme. We can say Purusha is the creator spirit of the Brahman, and Prakriti is the executive spirit of that same Brahmic consciousness. It is Prakriti who is giving all the rules for of nature, that we are all having a bandhan only, isn't it? We are bound by the rules of nature. We go through the cycles, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. We go through all the everyday cycles. So many things happen in Prakriti. The laws are not written by us, isn't it? And we never had a choice also, or where we consulted. No, it was imposed upon us, and these are impositions of Prakriti. Prakriti keeps trying to assign her impositions. Why? It is part of a grand plan in which the Purusha also is present. We may not understand it. We may not understand why things are happening. But maybe when we rise in our consciousness, we will understand it also, is what Krishna is saying. I think many times when we were young, when we had not learned some things, we were confused, isn't it? Without knowing what is this, what is going on. And slowly, as we start moving towards maturity, as we start realizing, then okay, this is why it happens. Children sometimes get frustrated. Why on earth should I have these kind of theorems in school? This is frustrating. There's no need for all of this. But when they learn the practical applications afterwards, they themselves start using this for solving some of the difficult problems in their workplace also. It is as simple as that. Krishna goes on, he says, different people try to connect, different people try to realize that same Brahma Tattva in different ways. Some of them have a tendency. I think each of us has a different tendency, isn't it? Each person has, some are having a lot of energies inside of their body. So they feel, I want to do this work, I want to do this activity. But then there are some who like to go deep into aspects and think, let's go to the root. Let's go to the root of the problem. Let us go try to understand it. Let us try to evaluate its what is the rationale behind it. So there are different ways like that. Krishna says when people begin to realize that this is that one consciousness that is manifesting, they start moving towards it in different ways. One is by delving deep into the inner realms during meditation. Dhyana, focus. It's what has anybody, I think many of us must have been doing dhyana, definitely in your homes or outside or somewhere. Can someone just share me what is this dhyana? What do you do in meditation? Just anything, any technique, what you follow, or what is the way you do it? Anybody?
I share my technique.
Okay, yeah.
So I just take a thought of the presence of the source of divine light present in my heart.
Okay.
And with this thought, I wait. I wait with love and surrender.
So you connect through the heart. With the heart center, you try to connect and go deeper into, and you enter into a state of peace, isn't it? That becomes your way. All right. Thank you, Renuji. Anybody else would like to share theirs? Or we'll move ahead. All right. It's fine. So, as Renju said, this is one way. So, in dhyana, people do dhyana on the divine, people do dhyana on the form, people do dhyana on sometimes Mahavakyas also. Aham Brahmasmi. Instead of suddenly, first question comes on Katham Brahmas. Katham, how? How am I Brahma? Look at me, I have my limitation. No, in the dhyana, they recognize, they try to go into that Amritasya Putra Vayam. We are the children of immortal consciousness. How is it? My body is mortal. My frame is very, 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 what we can say, limited. And yet, how am I connected with that immortal consciousness? Let me understand. Let me go deeper. These are experiences. And then the people get it. Smatma Ramoham Swena Swasmin Swayam Brahma Sway Mahimni Swano Bhuta. I am the Swayambhu. I am going to get that realization. I am going to get that Sakshatkar. That comes as a realization. Or how the young Adi Shankaracharya, who are you? He said, I am not my outer self. I'm not my eyes. I'm not my senses. I'm not my what you see on the outside. Then what am I? He says, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. These are words that have to be realized. And some people who have that inkling to turn towards meditation, they go on that way also to recognize what? Again, the Brahman, where? Not in another world, Ihaiva, in this world, in this Srishti, the presence of the divine. This is an experience. Krishna then goes on, he says, then some other, in the 24th shloka, he says, then they try to understand this movement of Prakriti and Purusha. They understand how this separation of what is the supreme consciousness into this Srishti, the distinguishing different differentiations taking place in consciousness, and somehow trying to, go back to the root, going back to that connect. Or some say, no, I will focus on the karmas. I'll focus on my karmas. I have this much energy, this much abundance of force inside of me. I cannot sit idle. I will continuously function to understand, but through karmas. So this is one more way people go. So different ways, however they go, they get that realization. But sometimes we get confused which way to choose. Which way is yours? Jnana, karma, bhakti, Which way? Which way should I walk is the question sometimes people ask. Again, we have also seen all three are not different ways, isn't it? All three are connected. All three ways are connected. One cannot be complete without the other. But still, according to my nature, should I suddenly start doing Shastra Abhyas, all the Shastras, I start studying them right now? Or should I focus on tapasya of some sort? Should I focus on karma? These are questions that come into people's mind. And Krishna says it's all right. There are so many ways, n number of ways are there, but all are having the same destination. If you're in a state of confusion, ask. Whom will you ask? Ask the Kshetrajna. Who is the Kshetrajna? The master of the Kshetras. Of every Kshetra, there is one Kshetrajna, the master of all fields. That is why it is said, no, Adhyatma Vidya, Vidyanam is the highest Vidya over all other forms of Vijnana also. Because Adhyatma is the highest. And that Kshetrajna is the one. Who is it? The Supreme Divine. If you do not see the Supreme Divine, find your Supreme Divine somewhere. You can find the Supreme Divine as your Ishta. You can focus on your Ishta and you will learn from your Ishta Devat. You have a choice, isn't it? In Sanatan Dharma, we can choose. No, no, I don't like this Bhagwan. I choose that Bhagwan. It's actually a choice according to your nature. No, no, I don't like Saumya Rupa. I want Ugra Rupa only. That will match with my inner feeling. Yes, you are right. Hold on, hold on. So from the Kshetragna, knowledge will come. They say Guru Paramatma Pareshu. How found a Guru? Hold on to the feet of the Guru. Whatever knowledge is required, that will come through the Guru. Because Guru is again Tattva, isn't it? That consciousness only. It will be anywhere, anywhere. Say you are focusing in a particular field, you're specializing in a particular science also. Krishna is not saying science is lower field or anything like that. In that field also, in that kshetra, you can identify the Guru. It need not be that the Guru wants to teach you also. You can still learn. Why? That is the bhava. And so we can learn when we re-establish the consciousness of the divine. So Krishna says, whichever route you're taking, your destination is going to be one. And that is going to be liberation when you walk ahead. Let us continue. 26th shloka. Yavat sanjayate kinchit satvam sthava rajangamam kshetra kshetrajna sanyogat tad vidhi bharatarshava. Oh Arjuna, every being living in this earth, moving or non-moving, however may be their birth, are caused by the field and the supreme knower's union, as all entities are born in their communion. Arjuna, this entire kshetra is created by this force of the kshetra and the kshetrajna, by the moving, non-moving, whatever creature it may be. Every manifestation has happened because of that. An instrument has functioned for the manifestation of the divine consciousness. Whatever creations, all creative spirits, they have abundantly manifested because of that union, that sanyoga. It is not something which is just coincidence. It is something much more. It has happened according to a yojana, a divine working. So recognize that. Many times you connect with the creative spirit, you will start getting creativity inside of you. When the creative spirit flows inside, whatever you do, that creative spirit will manifest. It can be on the smallest of smallest actions, smallest of smallest actions. Suddenly you will start making it more better. My question is, say if you are cooking every day, do you need creative spirit while cooking everyday food? Yes or no? Anyone? In everyday cooking, do we need creative spirit? Yeah, anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sindhuji says yes. All right, bye Sindhuji. Then I'll come to Renuji.
Sir, if you want something to I mean, something different to prepare for our children, we need that creative this thing to
Yes, yes,
prepare.
the creative spirit. I think as a mother, Sindhuji is saying, isn't it? Sometimes children have very
Yes,
big
sir.
demands. I was once very, I
Right
remember
now,
my,
I am
yeah,
preparing
go on,
food
Ji.
for the
You are right now
box.
preparing food.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I remember when I was young, I was bored of the chapatis. So I asked mother I wanted something special. So you know what she did? She made a house-shaped chapati. And after making the chapati, she would cut and make it something creative. But whatever, yes, Renuji was adding something. Yes, please. Yes, ji. And then we'll go ahead.
No way, that's it.
That's it. Same as what Sindhuji says. Yes. No, it's required. It's required. And what happens when you become, you can get the Brahma Vidya even in the Kshetra. While you're cooking also, you can get Brahma Vidya. Example is Bahinabai Chaudhary, the illiterate poetess of Maharashtra, who now people are doing PhD on her. She was a widow. She didn't have any option to learn higher texts. She didn't get a chance to go deeper. Of course, she did go deeper. She's like a considered motherly figure, and all her words, they are like exalted, maybe as much as Tukaram's Abhanga also. So she says, while making bhakri, she recognizes the principle of life. She says, Are sansara, sansara. You are like making a bhakri. Initially, what happens? Bhakri is a type of roti, a thick one. What happens initially? Your hands get burnt and then you get perfection afterwards. When you keep on the tawa, no? What happens? Anybody who's tried cooking, you can understand. First time you're not siddha, your hasta is not siddha hasta. So what happens then? You get singed. Your hand burns, and you're like, oh my God. Then you get frustrated. What is this? All of it. But afterwards, with experience, your hands also get their own consciousness. They start moving even without your working. Same thing, a surgeon who is doing surgery, he may have done 100 surgeries so many times that the hands start moving on their own. There is a consciousness even in every cell. Players, they have what we call cell memory. A player who has not played for nearly 5 years, 10 years, suddenly enters into the field. The body starts moving in the same way as if suddenly the smriti has come back. It has come because what? Because cell memory is there, it's conscious. So, this aspect, the creative spirit manifestation can happen when you become connected with that consciousness. That's what Krishna is talking about here. And he says, everything in this world, all the manifestations have taken place because of this dance of Purusha and Prakriti, dance of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. These two forces have played through the instruments, which is mankind, to create manifestations whether or not man is aware. Krishna goes on, he says, Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthantam parameshwaram vinashyatsva avinashyantam yah pashyati saha pashyati. Who can see, can see. That's what he says. And this is visible. This truth is there in front of our eyes. But sometimes we become Dhritarashtra unknowingly. Our attachments make us blind. Here, Krishna says, seated within all life forms is the one supreme, residing equally in all beings of the mortal dream. In a perishable frame, the indestructible dwells to be. Whoever can thus see, he is the one who can truly see. Krishna says this, Sarveshu Bhuteshu. This is the divine is present equally in all. In that same samatha he's asking us to have for everyone. He's saying recognize divinity in everyone. Can I say I have little more percentage of divinity or little less percentage of divinity than anybody else? I had a divinity meter, so I measured. Can I say that? No, isn't it? There's the same amount of divinity inside of everyone. Maybe we recognize it, maybe we do not recognize it, but it is present, is what Krishna is saying. How difficult it is to see divine in somebody who doesn't agree with us. Can we see the divine in someone who is having a different opinion? Anybody?
Actually, it is
Not.
difficult, sir.
It is difficult, isn't it? It's not according to our preference. So we prefer to attach to our preferences only, no? All the time. But yes, Induji.
Said yes, sir.
Yes, yes. So but divinity is present even in what we can say unpopular opinions also, or sometimes opinions which we do not like also, everywhere. Because this samatva bhava, this is important. Otherwise, we get carried away into the flux of action, reaction, and what we call Moha Maya, we get very nicely entangled into it without our knowledge. Krishna says, watch. Sri Aurobindo has given us the best example. Inside of Alipur jail, he is able to see Vasudeva everywhere. Situation is so dire. Situation is so horrible that anybody will say, "What the hell? What is this? Where is God? How is it possible?" The system was designed, was actually there was a different plan or a ploy at play by the Britishers. They wanted him hanged for a crime he did not do because they wanted to stop that supreme force, which was creative force, which was manifesting through him and creating fire in so many hearts. That time there were no forwards like how people would send now. His writings would be forwarded in printouts quietly in meetings. People would circulate, and they would just read and feel that meditative fervor for patriotism rise like a fire. And that is exactly what the Britishers wanted to extinguish. So they had him in jail, getting ready for a trial. But he got the experience inside of the jail only. Another experience for us to understand that there is no place where we cannot experience the divine. It is not necessary that it has to manifest in one place which is according to our liking. It is a very small prison, solitary confinement, 6 by 9 feet, dingy prison, hardly any light inside. He did not get anything. Just a coarse blanket was given to him, which was like a rug for a great yogi like Sri Aurobindo, who's already in such an exalted state, giving him such a situation where he is also frustrated and nature is nature, no? Bandhan of nature does assign its impositions. And he was wondering, actually, he was like, what is this? Is this, how will I serve my motherland? I have come for this purpose and now I am not able to. What is this ploy? And that was where he connected with Sri Krishna. Then after the experience, even that blanket started appearing like Madhava. He said, those that was like Madhava hugging me. The guard standing outside of the prison also he saw Vasudeva. He used the word misused bodies for us swindlers and criminals who were present inside of the cage. This is the Samadarshana, we can call it. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, and that Sama we should identify. Just because this person relates to my ideology, he is mine. That person doesn't relate to my ideology, he is what? A Brahma. I am Brahma. That person is a Brahma. No, it's not true. But Krishna says somebody who can see this, he's truly seeing what is the highest truth which is described in the Vedas, which is called Rutam. Satyam, Rutam, Bruhat, the Trinity. It goes on widening. The truth is so powerful that just initially you get a glimpse of it. And then it's as you go deeper and deeper, that glimpse suddenly starts becoming clearer and vaster and vaster. So that for that, the base is to be having samatha. And that samatha should also be in the people, in the interactions in the world. Otherwise, we are going away from the path. And that time it's an unnecessary risk we are putting ourselves in that we're faltering. Krishna goes on. He says, Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram nahi nasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Witnessing the existence of the one Lord in all things, he perceives the supreme play of forces in all beings by the flames of passionate fire or by the flames of passionate desire. He is not injured. And for such a being, the supreme status is assured. Krishna is witnessing the existence of one Lord in all things. Means recognizing that supreme Sarva Loka Maheshwara, that same one is present in all. When he perceives the play of forces in all beings, means people become instruments of forces. There are creative forces, there are destructive forces. If you can watch in an dispassionate manner, you are no more frustrated. You too, Brutus moments will not come to you. The wrong force is working for this person right now. I better be alert. I better be vigilant. What force is playing through whom? You suddenly start entering into what is this game of forces which is going on in this world at every point of time. Creative spirit has to manifest. There is a counter spirit working at the same time to prevent the manifestation. You can observe it in meetings also when people are trying to go to a conclusion. Suddenly, from somewhere, a force which is derailing that meeting comes and it appears in somebody. It happens in simple plans also. Friends, hanging out with friends also, that time also we experience it. Something nice is about to happen and suddenly some force comes inside. Well, Krishna says when you observe this with samatha, you are able to not get injured by this passionate play of forces. Many times you get frustrated, you fall into the trap of the forces. It's like you don't react also, you're in a trap there. You react also, you're in a trap. You don't know what to do, and then you do the first thing that comes to your mind because your emotions have flared up. Instead, if you're able to take one step back, you're able to understand. Has anybody heard of this Tai Chi? Anyone? That's a form of martial art. Tai Chi, it's also a form of meditation. Yes, Renuji, you have heard of it.
Yes, I have heard of it.
Oh, what is there? Anything about it? Do you know some of its principles?
So I cannot relate that.
All right, but you've heard of it. Okay, anybody?
So
Anybody
I
else?
think it requires a lot of self-control and a meditative spirit to be in that state, in that form of
Yes.
art.
Yes. It's about fighting without having disturbance inside. You're so calm. It's actually people nowadays,
And there
a
is
lot of
very
people.
calm and quiet,
Yes.
but
It
there is
up.
art there.
Yeah. If you watch nowadays, a lot of people do that. Like it's like what we can say, sort of dancing. You wonder what is this? Can this anytime be used anywhere? But it's actually just using the forces versus keeping the balance. Your body has to be balanced so that you are not disturbed. Even when the person attacks you in the front, you slightly move that person's hand and push that person away. Means in spirit, people say no, MMA is more powerful than this. All that aside, if you are balanced, you are able to deal with the situation. If you are imbalanced, that situation will deal with you and probably put a full stop also to you if you do not take care. So some of the simplest things you need to do is become balanced and understand the forces. Don't get frustrated. How can Duryodhana behave this way? Arjuna was frustrated, isn't it? Instead, he should have understood this is the look at the forces. Look how they are playing. Oh, even Dronacharya got caught by that. Look at that. Pitama Bhishma also. Oh my God, what are these forces playing? Instead, what did Arjuna see? He only saw outside. Said, oh no, look at Duryodhana, my brother. He even went on to say that it's okay if I get killed by their hands. What has happened here? Here he has got injured, isn't it? Emotionally, he's got hurt. Instead, if he just watched, you'd say, okay, this is it. Acha, this is going to, which is always normal. Whenever a divine action has to manifest, suddenly, like Kurukshetra, lines get drawn. Somebody is for, somebody is against. And just like Kurukshetra, only unknown people go into unknown sides. Most unexpectedly, our own dear ones might choose another side. But if you are connected with the higher consciousness, you are connected with that manifestation, you don't have to worry at all. But for that, you have to be dispassionate. And Krishna is saying this. You can watch without being burnt by the flames of passionate desire. You can attain the supreme status also. Again, every way Krishna keeps saying you can attain supreme status, you can get higher realization, you can get mukta. Why is Krishna doing this? Is he like those colleges which give advertisement? You join my college, you will get 100% placement. What is Krishna's motive here? Or is it possible that it has like easily anybody can receive supreme realization so easily as Krishna is saying? Why is he saying that? Anybody?
Just now, what you explained regarding the forces which come
Yeah.
into to develop that samata bhav and to create that balance within. And it is possible.
It's
Since you are
possible.
since you are speaking right now, and I can relate because at times I observe also that something is there, I'm in my good position, but something says something, and I feel that force is coming. But when I
Yes.
step back and observe, okay, he is in that mindset or she is in that mindset, then I don't react either mentally or physically. And I keep my calmness and that pace. And this is what Krishna wants to speak and teach us, that you have to be calm and quiet in whatever circumstances you are. And then only you can march ahead on your path,
Ji.
realization.
And then the path does become simple, isn't it?
Yes.
All right.
And then
Yeah.
we become very much compassionate also towards the
Okay.
whole that state.
Yes. All right. All right. Yes, Chandreshi. Yes, sir.
So when we started, Arjuna gave reasons why not to fight, and also how society will degenerate, and
Yeah.
how will not get moksha and all that. So he's trying to tell that everything is as part of the bigger scheme, and you will get
Ah,
moksha. There's so many ways that you will happen. It will happen.
gee. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chandresh, yes, sir. There are so many ways, and it's actually if you get that same balance. Now, as Renuji said, situations come in. People are sometimes crass, people are sometimes crude, people are sometimes insensitive. That creates disturbance inside of us. This person came running and pushed me. What happens? You get frustrated. You say, what is this? You ask, धक्का क्यों दिया? He responds, तूने क्यों लिया? We get even more irritated. What is this? There's no logic in what this person is saying. And instead, what can you do? Like, oh, I should have been a little bit more alert and moved away because this person is going to behave the way that person is going to behave because this person is a what we call a receiver of all wrong forces only. Means there are individuals we will learn later on in the Gita as we see duality, Asuri and Devi Swabhava. So this aspect, understanding the game of forces helps a lot. You will not be hurt. You will not be hurt. I remember one small moment and then I'll go ahead. In college, there was one professor. He was one day on a very big firing spree. Everybody was being fired that day. Whoever came on his path, it was like tufan only. My friend felt very disturbed because he was very attached to the professor, and I didn't do anything wrong. And he's like, he talked to me like this. This was not something I expected. Just time, one more wise yogi friend came. I'll tell you what happened. I saw him while he was coming outside of his room. His head hit the wall. So he's got irritated. He's taking that irritation out. That force is entered inside. He's taking it out on you. Don't worry. After half an hour, go and meet him. He will be cool. And he did go after half an hour, and the same talk which he wanted to have that happened comfortably. What is this? These are all moments we don't realize. If you just go a little bit behind, you become not played, you can even become the player once you start understanding the rules of the game. Otherwise, we are all ping pong balls, just pushed around by the forces, once this side, once another side. This is why Sansar becomes all frustrating, and then people say, I'll go to Himalayas. But there also forces will play, no? The forces are going to play everywhere. But are we going to run away from the forces or are we going to overcome? Will we be played instruments of these forces or we become instruments of the divine? That's the question we have to ask. And Krishna says, once you realize this, you can become free, whichever way you are following, whichever way you're living. He goes on further. He says, Prakrityaiva cha karmani kriyamani sarvashaha yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. It is Prakriti who alone engages and enacts. In all the world's working she acts, but the self remains inactive and silently foresees. Whoever sees this truth of the world truly sees. So Prakriti's force is going on, Purusha is present, but Purusha is silent. Purusha is participating in a detached manner in the favorable moments as well as the unfavorable moments. For what reason? Well, we'll have to go to that consciousness to understand that supreme reason. Right now, it may seem sometimes if it is not in our favor, we will call it unfair. If it's in our favor, we'll start making stutis. But what is it exactly? Well, we'll have to rise beyond our dualities to understand it. Krishna goes on. He says further, he says, Yada bhuta pruthak bhavam ekastham anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadhyate tada. When one realizes the unexpressed and latent eternal, dwelling within the myriad forms, the one supernal, because of whom all existence sustains, the gnosis of Brahman, he verily attains. When you realize that, when you realize that the Brahman is present, this realization is actually it brings you a great peace if you can experience it. You can experience it and then you start having that warmth in your heart. It's like all the palpitations also suddenly cease. Anxieties disappear. These are experiences for the yogis. Anxieties disappear. Even the worst situation comes. No news is so bad news that it can cause disturbance on the inside. Yes, there will be favorable news, there will be unfavorable news. But that push or that punch of that event will not happen up to the solar plexus. You're able to deflect it. That is how a yogi is doing. That is how a yogi is what Krishna is saying. He recognizes the Brahman. Tattvamasi. Recognize the Brahman everywhere before realizing Soham Asmi. The Isha Upanishad says that in all that is brilliant, in all that is beautiful, in all that is lustrous, in all that is radiant, let me recognize the Teja. Teja of whom? Of you. Oh, let me see recognize the Teja of the divine. And then realize Soham Asmi. Soham Asmi is the second realization. So first, this Sama Darshana is important. If you look at the Gita also, Krishna is very beautifully giving that to Arjuna. He started talking about Vibhuti Darshana. He gave him the Vibhuti Darshana. Here you can see me, here you can see me there. And then he gave him the realization. But Arjuna, because Arjuna wanted. Sometimes God gives us what we want. Sometimes we need to want the right things, or we need to understand the difference between what is our need and wants. So he gets the Vishwarupa. After the Vishwarupa, he's again back into Dvaita. I cannot be this Vishwarupa. This Vishwarupa is different from me. This Dvaita Bhava was still there. So again, Krishna is trying to realize you, Arjuna, too are part of it. If you remember Vibhuti Darshana, Krishna said, isn't it? Among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Krishna had already given him the hint. But this is what we call sanskara, our past experience. We carry a baggage with us, which is called sanskara. Because of that, it is very difficult to undo. It's like you want to learn something new. What should you do? First, you have to unlearn, isn't it? Arjuna finds it difficult, so he does not fully recognize, oh, this Krishna who is Ugra is the same inside of my heart. No, I don't recognize this Krishna inside of my friend Krishna only, is what Arjuna's approach is, because the mind is not ready. But our mind will have to be ready, and Krishna says we will start attaining that highest knowledge. One more beautiful aspect of Sanatana Dharma, it says that nobody is inferior. God is in less percentage in this person. God is in more percentage in the other person. There is nobody like that. Whoever is saying is actually making a mockery of themselves by saying such a statement, because here Ishvara Sarva Bhutana Hridyeshu Juna means in the Hridyeshu, in the heart, is present inside of every living being. And here Krishna says Sama Darshana is required to recognize. Ya Pashyati Sa Pashyati. But some people see it and some people don't. Krishna goes on, Anaditva Nirgunatva Paramatma Mayam Avyayaha Sharirasthopi Kaunteya Na Karoti Na Lipyate. Immaculate and without any boundaries or ends. All of nature's qualities, the Supreme Self transcends. O Arjuna, the Self is seated within the body, unperturbed, and by the occurrences of nature, he is not disturbed. Krishna is saying immaculate, without boundaries, without ends. All nature's qualities, the Supreme Self is transcending. The Self is there, Arjuna, inside of every living being, unperturbed and not reactive or reactionary to the outer aspects of nature. Krishna is telling him, how is it? It is like the Akash Tattva. Let us see the next shloka. यथा सर्वगतं सौक्ष्म्यात् आकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मा नोपलिप्यते. Cannot be bound. That is how the divine is. You cannot bind the divine. Many times we arbitrarily bind divine with our own logic and tarka. If you do like this, I will do this in return. God, ये मेरी परीक्षा नहीं है, तुम्हारी परीक्षा है. This is yours. This is a very common dialogue in all the serials and all movies they show. Now I am going to keep God in this water. So now this is a danger situation for you only, and I am not going. This is all intellectual, what we can say, sometimes our own, we will not call it intellectual also, logical bindings that we try to bind the divine. But the divine is not to be bound by mental logic also. We'll have to break our bindings to understand what is the real, the fullness of the divine. To understand that, we have to break from that mold of the mind. But God cannot be bound. Krishna is saying the same thing. like the sky that stretches across all of space, and its subtleness limits not its all-pervading embrace. So too is the self that in all life form persists unaffected within the physical body. The self exists, so it is like Akasha. Children, when they go to the hill stations, they suddenly see the sky, and they see, oh wow, I'm going to catch the sky. They try to go and catch it. Are they able to? No. But if they just keep their hands open, they will say, yes, my hand is in the sky only. The Akash Tattva is there. Well, this is exactly how the Brahman is. He is all pervading. He is that. He is subtle, and yet he is vast. Sukshma also, and yet this Akasha itself, the meaning of Akasha is that only. Spreading across in all directions. So vast. Tukaram had made that beautiful Abhanga. Anu Reniya Thokada. Tuka Akasha Yoda. Smaller than the Anu, smaller than the Renu, which is said to be smaller than what is Anu also, and yet wider than the skies. So is Tukaram talking about his physical body? Has he got these superpowers like nowadays we have in the movies? What is he talking about? He's talking about the Brahma Gyan only. He's talking about that Brahma Tattva. He's talking about the consciousness. He says, I too have become that. And this was his experience. What we say, Yaha Pashyati Saha Pashyati. Hearing about the Brahman is something. Experiencing and realizing is a completely different ball game, and Tukaram had mastered it. That is why he said, Jete Dato, Tethe Tu Maza Sangati. Wherever you go, wherever I go, you are my companion. He said, I can see you holding my hands and leading me. That was his experience. Talavishi Hati Dharuniya. You are holding my hand and leading me like a child is being led by the parent. This is the experience, and this is there in every religion, it's there in every dharma, every pantha, every marga. The realization comes and the experience gets what we can say, what regularized in a person. It happens more and more often. You raise me up to more than I can be. This is the prayer which is offered. Why? Well, I'm now stronger. And why am I strong? I am strong when I'm on your shoulders. That's another prayer. Miss, somebody is taking me, somebody is, the Abhaya Hasta is behind me. That feeling, that realization, it's not just psychological, it's a practical experience. But that has to be got. Not everybody gets it, but understand this tattva is like this. The divine tattva is sukshma also, it is also vast as well. Krishna goes on, he says, Yatha prakashat yekaha, Yatha prakashati yekaha, Kritsnam lokam imam ravihi, Kshetram Kshetri, Tatha Kritsnam, Prakashati Bharata. O Arjuna, just as a singular sun's light is adequate to make the whole of the earth bright, so too is the field illumined, complete. With the knower of the field's light, it is replete. This is very beautiful because this is justifying the shloka in the very start. Because avyakta, we talked in the fifth shloka, there was some aspect. The kshetra is filled with what we saw. It is the ahankar, the panchama, bhutas are there, the sense indriyas, the sense components. And also there was something called avyakta. So different translations have given different aspects of what this avyakta is. But if we look at it in light of the 33rd shloka, here we can see that yes, avyakta is the unmanifest light, a light of the Chaitanya of the divine consciousness that is waiting to manifest. Here Krishna says, just as a singular sun's light is enough to make the whole Srishti, whole world bright. For our Srishti, one Surya is enough, no? It's a little bit too much also for us. Early morning, you can see before sunrise, you can look at Bala Surya. Some people do what they call Tratak at that Bala Surya also. They focus on it when it is red. When it stops becoming red, it starts becoming brighter. You cannot even look at it. You can't even stare at it. It is that bright, that powerful. Or in a dark room, a single candle is sufficient, isn't it? To dispel all darkness. Just like that, Krishna is saying. Just like our Srishti is enough. Means one Surya is enough for our Srishti. Just like that, he says, this Kshetra is filled with the light of the Kshetrajna. What will happen when that light comes? Tamognayam agnaya shatrugnaya hitatmane kritagnaya devaya jyotisham pataye namaha. That divine light of knowledge will destroy all forms of darkness, all forms of ignorance, all forms of incompleteness will start disappearing towards and start transforming towards completeness. That is the Kshetra's light. So Krishna says this is the Kshetra and Kshetragnya. If you look at the chapter, he first gives a very practical definition. Idam Shariram. He starts with your body because body cannot be negated or body cannot be neglected just because it's limited. Are we going to throw it away selfishly, saying it's not so useful for me? No, body is our vehicle. It has been given to us. This is said that the Devas also aspire to take birth. We've already got the human birth, so great potential is there for transformation because here only it is like this is the world. In this Srishti only we can burn the karma. Whatever karmas we are having, whatever sanskaras, baggages we are carrying, this is the way, this is the time. Which other place are you going to go? No, it is not. So first recognize the Sharira. Then recognizing the Sharira, move beyond the Sharira and understand body is not everything. A friend of mine, she does not have eyesight, but she's a great journalist. It doesn't matter whether she has sight or she doesn't have sight. These are all what? Limitations. Everybody's physical body has some limitations. Because Kshetra is there, in the Kshetra Vikara is also there. Vikara is part of every Kshetra, isn't it? If there was no Vikara, there would be no meaning for manifestation also. The divine is also working on our side, trying to remove the Vikaras and try to manifest this. Ma Saraswati, they say she is working continuously, 24/7. What is she doing? She is working with the mold of human consciousness, trying to mold and with all imperfections, trying to bring light, trying to raise the consciousness of man. So this Kshetra is filled with the light of the Kshetrajna, the divisions we saw. Then what are the ways we see the quality, the humility, not having ahankar, trying to go quiet inside, not getting attached, not getting disturbed, even not getting, means loving your loved ones also without getting attached to them. That is the higher love. Means realizing all of this is the way of Kshetrajna, is what Krishna says. And then suddenly there's a movement. There's a moment of Purusha and Prakriti, the consciousness, creative spirit, and suddenly one would say, why is Purusha? One batch I remember being asked, why is Purusha and Prakriti being taught in this Adhyay? How is it connected with the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna? Well, it is completely connected because this is where you see the entire dance of creative spirit and manifesting spirit takes place in our life also. One moment, something we decide. I remember one person wanted to move and the creative spirit was not at all there, so the person was not able to move from the place until the person was forced to move by circumstance. What happened here? Where is the creative spirit wanting to come out of the mold? No, I'm stuck, because that is a problem many times in our life also. Every day suddenly life starts appearing boring. Why? Nothing is going on, they say. Is there any moment where nothing is going on? Every time I am unaware. Aham na pashyami, we should say, because it is happening all the time. I am not seeing it. When you start going to the park, you will see 100,000 things. You say nothing happening in the park. You will see somewhere a couple are meeting after a very long time. There is one small boy playing, another boy is falling down, learning something from that fall. Elsewhere, a mother is running after a child. One father is meeting another. They're having a discussion. What are all of these? These are activities. There's something going on. We cannot dismiss it as nothing. And this is aspect of what Purusha and Prakriti is at play. And when we start recognizing this Purusha Prakriti play, we get what is called the Samatva Bhava, Samadarshana appears. You understand. And what do you understand? The consciousness, the creative consciousness manifesting everywhere. Krishna says, when you realize this, you become free. If you're not able to realize it, ask help and realize. Does asking help make us weak? So Arjuna should ask help to Duryodhana? Asking help to the wrong person makes us weak, isn't it? So identify the Kshetrajna. It is like you go and I want to learn about geography and I go to a surgeon who has no idea of geography. What will happen? I will not learn from that person also, isn't it? So Kshetra is there, so Kshetrajna is there, so identify. But sometimes we don't know only. It's like sometimes me and my friends. This subject is समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, doubt क्या पूछे? This question comes. So identify one common Kshetrajna everywhere. That is the supreme Kshetrajna, divine. Why? Krishna has told in the Gita, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will give you the knowledge. Probably he feels krupa. Looking at efforts, they say grace marks, no? Something like that. By grace you receive something. Then mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayate girim. Yat kripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam happen. When the grace starts flowing, the person starts receiving capacities, faculties which are not manifest. Creative spirits manifestation is also something. Sadhana is something. My friend was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He went to a psychologist. Basically because his parents didn't understand his poetry. One of the reasons. And he was having a lot of and he would write really weird poems also, not to say blame his parents for that. But his doctor identified something very beautiful. His doctor told him that this was a spiritual awakening happening inside of him. That spiritual awakening was creating this poetry, and if he can tap it, if he can tune it in the right direction, because his parents forced him to have a meeting, and he was laughing and telling me 1 hour I had a beautiful discussion with a psychologist. He did not discuss anything about my illness. We were talking about philosophy only. And he and I had a good coffee. He even offered me some biscuits. It didn't look like I had gone for a therapy only. Why? Well, that was the Kshetrajna he could identify. Damleji says children are always called names. One small child's mother was complaining in the Krishna's Butter Kids batch. This boy is not sitting properly. He's not able to understand. Damleji said, no, it looks like his Kundalini is awakened. Channel it in the right direction. And really, that mother was like, it is okay. He just gave some examples, and Damiji said something, and words of the Kshetrajna have the power of transformation. She immediately said, yes, now you have said this, I understand it, and now I will never feel bad about my. And that boy really proved right because he answered, though he was doing all the mischief. In the video camera, we could see him jumping up and down. He would come, make faces in the camera, and go away as classes were going on. But our teachers had been told, do not get disturbed. They have to be detached. They are teaching about detachment, so they have to not get frustrated, but let it go ahead. And on the last day, he gave a summary. That same mischievous boy whom everybody felt was not listening to anything. So this aspect, so Krishna says, identify the Kshetrajna, connect, and then bring about the transformation. That is one important aspect. Otherwise, many times people feel there is no talent inside of themselves. I didn't have any talent, or I don't have any talent, or I had talent. Now it is not there. Expiry date is over. There is nothing like this. There is nothing, as the Sanskrit shloka also goes. Amantram aksharam nasti, nasti muli anaushadam, ayogya purusha nasti, yojakas tatra durlabham. There is no word which is not a mantra. Mother's words, even those words in English language also sound as powerful as Sanskrit mantras to many. They bring about transformation. Some of the mother's words in French are so powerful that people meditate on it and raise their consciousness. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, it is like a mantric poem. And matter shall reveal the spirit's face. Breaks the binding of a person. How can matter? How can spirit? All these questions are broken when realization is there. So there's no word which is not a mantra. There's no plant that is not a medicine. Ask a Vaidya. Today, I think we don't have Dr. Surajji. He's a Vaidya. He would have given the confirmation that yes, every plant, sometimes the root of the plant has different value, stem has different value, leaf has different value. How you use it also. You use it internally, use it as external application, as a paste. Each of it changes. So again, every plant is there which has a medicinal value, which has the healing power. Then what is it? There is nobody who has no potential. Means this is what has to be taught to every child in the school. Not like you are useless because you didn't receive 99.99%. This is the thing. There is potential inside of everyone that can happen. We have examples of so many people. We see Totakacharyas. He was Giri before he became the great Acharya. A lot of people felt he didn't have anything, any tendency or any intelligence or any special ability. He had sincerity, and I think that is the biggest. If you have it, you can learn, you can grow. So the transformation is possible. Yojakas tatra durlabham, meaning there is a requirement of a Kshetrajna who will be able to transform it, who will be able to transform an ordinary word into a mantra, or an ordinary plant into a medicine, an ordinary individual, make that person realize that he is not ordinary but is extraordinary. Ramleji also says we all must be ordinary beings living extraordinary lives. be an ordinary person leading an extraordinary life. That aspect of experiencing and realizing you can get only from the Kshetrajna, is what Krishna is saying. Next, we go to the last. So, Krishna, then that light is enough. Means one light, one spark is enough for us. Like, for example, now Renuji gave a very practical example. If all of us can actually practice it, if all of us can actually practice this, suddenly, right, I don't have to get trapped in the passionate play of forces just because this person reacted unfairly. This person spoke to me. I did not do it. I did not mean it. Or that person did like this. All these certain things are not required, isn't it? It has happened. Now, what can you do? You have to now try to stop this from happening again and try to insulate yourself and make sure this does not happen again. And this is the game of forces, and a Kshetrajna can guide us, or if we can recognize the Kshetrajna as the Aradhya who is with us, like Tukaram felt at all times he is with me. If we can experience that, then we can guide. Just now, yesterday, I got a message from a software engineer. Her laptop crashed. She said, Krishna crashed the laptop at the correct time. I was like, what is the correct time for crashing the laptop? He said, no, Krishna knew I would panic before this project got over. If it had crashed, all my data, everything would have become too much for me to handle. So he correctly waited. He waited for the laptop to, my work to be complete. And then after the work was complete, my laptop crashed. Now, how is this? Well, same thing Arjuna was feeling he is doing everything in Mahabharata, isn't it? And when Krishna got down from his chariot, then the chariot burst because Krishna was holding together. He was holding it. So this happens in a life and we will start experiencing direct. These are all pratyaksha darshanas. We can call them pratyaksha darshanas. We don't have to simply call it something else or people call it hallucination. No, it is not an hallucination. It's not a hallucination. It is a realization. The experience which we shared of Renukaji, of the Vishwarupa, I think if you all read it in the group, till now I have not seen such a deep experience. She kept calling it dream. But even now, when I had to get it from her, I asked, ma'am, can you please share it? She shared it. And I said, wait, I never forget it. She says, I also, in the moment I close my eyes, I can go back to that moment immediately. How many of us can recollect our dreams? We cannot, isn't it? Dreams come, they go quickly like that. But here, detail, height of Arjuna, height of Krishna, fragrance, all of it. Well, this is the experience which we must get. And this is possible at when you're asleep also, when you're awake also. That is why all time is the time of the divine. Let us continue. We look at the last shloka. Krishna says, Kshetra Kshetrajna Yorevam Antaram Jnana Chakshusha Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha Ye Viduryanti Te Param. Krishna says, with the inner eye of knowledge, those who perceive about the field and the knower they can conceive, and of the individual's liberation from Prakriti's dominion, they attain the supreme, the complete merger and union. Krishna says you get mukti, you get mukta from the bandhana of Prakriti also. Prakriti is assigning a lot of forces upon us. Impositions of Prakriti also you can get free from, is what Krishna is saying. When with the inner eye of knowledge, you can perceive. Again, Jnana Chakshu, Anta Chakshu, whatever names people call it, every single one of us has that eye, the eye which is called the inner eye, Anta Drushti. Arjuna got Divya Drushti and he saw the Vishwarupa. Well, again, each of us has that inner eye of knowledge when it awakens. Krishna says, you are able to understand. You're able to understand the field. You're able to understand the Kshetrajna. And Krishna says you can become free. Now, my question is knowing. How much can we know? Our minds can process only up to certain things, isn't it? Every moment is what is going to happen next is unknown. I don't know what's going to happen next moment. Now I'm very peaceful. I'm doing something right. Suddenly something can happen which is going to break my understanding, isn't it? So that is what fear of unknown only creates the first anxiety inside of us because we don't know what it is, what is happening. But when we are calm, when we are peaceful, we are in that moment, though we may not know, we become familiar. We become familiar with the forces. This is happening. This is happening. You can actually watch. You can watch the forces at play, and even like people are able to have clairvoyance. They are able to predict certain things. What's happening afterwards? Well, basically, it is not that they are using some special tool for calculation or anything. It is that Divya Drishti, they can understand. Look at this. These are the indications. All right. Again, even sometimes indications are adverse. Holding on to the Kshetragni, you can actually, alter the adverse consequences also. We will look at that in the 18th Adhyay. The difference between fate and free will. What is it? What is destiny? All of it. But this knowledge is required because if you are not connected, Krishna says, you will not attain it. But if you open your inner eye, you are connected. You're connected at all times. With this, we move into the next Adhyay. We'll just look at two more shlokas and we'll stop. We'll start the 14th Adhyay right now. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Arjuna is receiving from Krishna. And so Krishna is enjoying. This we see in our entire, I think all our scriptures, we see the same thing. Kathopanishad, Yama gets happy with Nachiketas. He says, oh, you are enjoying. Because what Nachiketas was doing was he was not just listening. He was listening, understanding, and also repeating the same Vidya that Yama was passing. And Yama says, oh, what a great privilege it is. I'll give you a little more. Something like that. Arjuna is now receiving very well. So Krishna is speaking more. Otherwise, the same Krishna was not willing to speak a word in second Adhyay. First Adhyay, Arjuna was just crying and Krishna was quietly not responding. He responded only when he said Shishyasteyam Shadimam Tvam Prakam, because that was the time he became receptive. A receptive Arjuna is now more recipient also of higher wisdom. Now let us see. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Param Bhuyah Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yagnatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhim Mito Gataha. But Krishna said, once more to you, I shall declare and lend. What is the peak of knowledge that man can ascend? This paramount gnosis that the liberated sages have reached, by which the boundaries of mortal perfection have been breached. Krishna says, I'll tell you, the highest knowledge, the supreme knowledge by which the Muni example we can think of Narada Muni. In Vibhuti Darshana, another example, Kapila Muni. So these are all exalted states, like we have states of consciousness. Like we have in our degrees, we have you undergraduate, we have a postgraduate, we have a master. Sometimes in medicine, there's super specialty, like MPhil, PhD in other streams. Like that, there are yatis, there are munis, there are mumukshus, there are rishis. So like that, he says, these are munis who are spiritually advanced people. And he says, I'll give you that knowledge by which these munis operated. This was their SOP of the munis, is what he is saying. And what did it ensure? It helped them breach the boundaries of mortal perfection, what we call siddhis. They were able to achieve the highest of siddhis also. Sometimes it becomes crazy to think of. If you see Hatha yogis and all in the Himalayas, the snow-clad mountain, a person is just not clad with anything and sitting in temperature without getting hypothermia. If we all wear all those set of clothes also and still we have trouble. We catch a cold, we have so much headache, we start shivering. Yeah, this person is as if enjoying. How is it possible? Well, that is sadhana. He has what we call mortal limitation, he has breached it, isn't it? With tapasya. He says, I'll give you that knowledge, which will help a person, by which the munis were able to transcend. What is mortal? Mortal nature is a nature which we are all mortals only, isn't it? So we are having human nature. And sadhana is for to become human or to become divine. What is the need for sadhana? Anybody? Is it for become? Yeah,
To become divine.
absolutely, Chaitanji. A lot of people say, no, we should be human. And humans only are doing all the wrong things, no, in the world right now. How are we happy with all of that? We do not want that. That is what we say. We have made a new definition to be ordinary or not doing wrong is only sufficient. Because of what? It's like instead of, okay, 35% pass mark is the target because so many people failed. Or should it be getting the highest to understand the most, to realize? And this is the aspect to realize the divine, to become the divine. That is the aspiration. And Krishna says, I'll tell you how these once operated. One person was in a Gita class, what will be the indication if you become divine? I had asked that. I will not panic. I will not get frustrated. I will not get angry. That will be enough for me to become divine. Enough Lakshana is that what that person was saying. Let's say my home will only become Vrindavan if I don't do all of this. I don't have to go anywhere else. Well, it's actually true. It is actually true that harmony is something which has to be manifested. We'll look at the next loka and we'll stop here. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmya magataha sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyathanti cha. By taking shelter in this knowledge, they have obtained the highest wisdom, which in my oneness can be attained. No more are they born into the cycle of destruction and creation, nor are they agitated or confused by the universal extinction. While the person is actually mukta, so mukta that he is not worried about anything, not even pralaya or anything can disturb the person from that state of consciousness. How? It is by taking shelter. When you take shelter in the divine's consciousness, you see all moments you enjoy. There's no frustration there when you've taken the shelter in the divine. You become calm, you become peaceful. And in that oneness, when divine is with you at all times, what happens then? Every moment is going to be ananda only, no? Every single moment. There will be favorable moments, there will be unfavorable moments, but ananda will be there at all times. And that's what Krishna is talking about. And such a person, he is no more trapped in the cycle of creation and destruction. Many times we get trapped into the cycle of creation and destruction without our knowledge on all the time. There's a nice song which says, I don't want to follow death and all of his friends. I don't want to cycle and recycle revenge. Because we are doing that unknowingly. This person behaved like this person behaved like that. So I have to give this person the just results for that. Instead, Krishna is saying there is something here. There is something here. And you know what this is? I'll just tell the introduction. It is the gunas. Krishna is going to introduce the same things that we were introduced to, the three gunas. At all times, the gunas are going to be playing. Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. Why are they going to play? Because we are in Prakriti. Three operating systems. You go to purchase a computer nowadays, you get one of the three operating systems, isn't it? You get Windows, you get Linux, or you get what we can say a MacBook with an Apple operating system. Of course, there are other operating systems also in existence, but predominantly these three. Why? Because they are available in the market at the moment. Something like that, our Srishti is full of these three only. Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. Krishna is going to give that. And interestingly, though this appears simple or it appears what we can say a general information or general knowledge, it's actually a high knowledge which Krishna is saying the Munis were able to understand. And that is why the Munis were unperturbed. Even with Pralaya, even with destruction. From France, people had come to interview Damleji because somebody had told them 2012 is going to be the end of the world. They were so disturbed. They were so disturbed that people are not, I'm seeing in my own place, people are not going to church also. We don't know what's going to happen. 2012, what's going to happen. I had completed my college that time, just 1 year had finished. But my juniors were not planning to prepare for the exams because anyway, world is going to get destroyed. Let us enjoy. What is happening is this frustration, this anxiety, everything. And this couple was a very senior couple, but they were genuinely worried about what is going to happen. What is going to happen? These kind of fears sometimes bring a person into a lot of distress. What will happen to me? What will happen to this person? What will happen to that person? These are all fears I think we should not have in our head. When we understand that ananyashtintayanto mam ye jana pariupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. It is the divine's responsibility. Divine will take care of it. We have to focus on doing what we can the best way possible, very sincerely. That is all we need to do. Well, Krishna says, I'll give you that knowledge, the knowledge of the gunas. That is what we'll be seeing in this chapter. And from this chapter, the three gunas will not stop till the 18th chapter, meaning this is going to be there forever. Forever, these principles of gunas, meaning gunas are going to function. We are going to be functioning sometimes in control of the gunas, or sometimes the gunas are going to control us by a kind of tug of war. If we are aware, if we are conscious, we will be able to become free. And if we are going to be free, I think we will have an enjoyable life. That is all we can see. So with this, I think we can conclude. Can somebody summarize something that we saw today so we can move ahead? Yes, please. Anybody? Yes, please. Anyone? Yeah, Chaitanya ji. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we started where Shri Krishna started explaining that all living and non-living things that have come, they have come from the union of Kshetra and Kshatrajna. This is because of the interaction of Kshetra and Kshatrajna. And once you start becoming conscious of this, you start understanding the play of forces. There are good forces as well as bad forces at play, and you start understanding their game. Then you start becoming conscious and stop getting frustrated about things. So you try to you start moving above it so that you don't get played, and you are actually able to transcend these things. So the Purush and then Brahman is there, that avyakta, the light of Avyakta is present inside everyone, but it is not manifesting. But one Surya is enough for our Srishti, it is enough for enough to light our whole Srishti. Same way, once that light manifests, it is actually able to remove all the darkness within that person, and same light can actually remove if everyone starts becoming conscious and that light starts manifesting, it can remove all the darkness. So we have to become more conscious, and we need to understand this game of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the Purusha and Prakriti, without getting played. And when once we and the next part was that Shri Krishna said that I will actually start giving you that knowledge about probably three gunas, which are actually kind of that operating system that, as you said, and which are actually at play. And once once you get the Munis were able to understand this, they transcended and were able to take that shelter in the divine consciousness. After which there is no fear, no frustration, and you don't get trapped into that cycle of creation and destruction. So yeah, that is where you stop.
Yes, ji. All right, Chaitanya ji. So Hari Om. Yes. So this is with the inner eye of knowledge means again, it is a realization. When we realize it, then this moment appears different. The same moment when you are trapped in that moment, it appears different. But when you are one step back and looking at it, you can see differently. Let us see. All right. Let us continue tomorrow then. We'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं Jai Shri Krishna. Looking forward tomorrow. Anybody has any queries, you are welcome, or we'll conclude.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Namaste.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste.